ones do it. I'm going to Maryhill, which is annoyingly where I'm there every week. This abandoned studio, just where the studio is. Oh god, I can't remember what it's called. It used to be called the Practice Pad. It used to go 20 years ago. It's now called the Audio Lounge. Is that what it's called? Something like that. It doesn't have an instantly recognisable name. But I'm going over there. It's Saturday night. That's what you should be doing. 8 o'clock on Saturday night. It's going and doing a wee safari. So what I found is a Roland Bass Cube, which is it's a battery powered bass amp. It looks pretty good. The only real experience I have with Roland Cubes is there's a guy, I've met him a few times. I've traded guitars with him a couple of times. I can't remember his name. I swapped a Spear for a Godin and I got a Godin off him, and I got for some reason I always want to say a Alesis monolith, the Eastwood monolith off him, and he had a Roland Cube, and I just remember him showing up trying a guitar and going, that amp sounds brilliant. It's like, oh, it's a Roland Cube. It wasn't the wee one, there's one that's sort of like a wee tiny one, it was a bit bigger, and I was a couple of times over and it's like, really is surprisingly awesome sounding. I mean, they're very popular. They're never cheap though. Which is one of those things that if they're never cheap, why are they never cheap? Because they're good. So that's my hope with this anyway. I have had a wee go at mini bass amps before. I actually had one. I sold it to the Singer and Kraken House. I kind of wish I hadn't, because I didn't realise that the reason it wasn't particularly loud was because the bass I was using, which was a Steinberger, wasn't wired properly. So it was only about less than half the volume of a normal bass. And I can't find that amp again. It was a bit plasticky, but it worked, and it sounded all right for what it was. And then I've got a wee Line 6 Micro Spider, I think it's called, which I've been using. It's what Jen plays through when we're having the Hades jam, and it runs on batteries. And I thought, oh, that'd be great. And then at very, very quiet volumes, you can use it's a modelling amp. It's got hundreds of options on it, but it does have an acoustic amp and a microphone input. So if you played the bass through that very quietly, it sounds alright. But once you get it up to playing along with an acoustic guitar volume, which is what I'm after, it doesn't need to be any louder than that. I did look up reviews of the amp. Oh, this is rubbish. It's like it can't compete with a drum kit. And it's like, it's a battery powered bass amp, is that? I don't know how big it's going to be. I'm expecting to be about that. Of course it's not going to compete with a drum kit, man. It's like, I'm not expecting miracles, but I would like it to be able to go loud enough to play along with a pretty played loud acoustic, an unplugged acoustic, and still sound like a bass. The problem with the wee Line 6 is, once you put it up to anything like a volume of a loud acoustic, it just started breaking up. Like, it wasn't a pleasant breakup. It was something that's broken sound, distortion. You get distortion, oh, crank Marshall stack, yeah. Distortion, yeah. That's different from distortion when my dad used to, before I forced my dad to, in fact I actually gave him a stereo to put his telly through, because he'd sitting there, remember, at night going, what the hell is that noise? Just going, Dad had bought a new telly, and it's like modern tellies with speakers on them are shite. So when you've got it up loud, it's just so I actually gave him an old amp. It's hi-fi stairs, there you go, plugged into the headphone socket. Shut up for 10 minutes. It's like, what are you doing? Like, and then gave him an actual stereo, with proper speakers, and what a difference that made. But it kind of that sound. So that's why what I ended up using was that wee orange Dean pictures there, which is still awesome. Let's be honest, it's the same as the wee Marshall desktop ones you get, or it's the same circuits in it, and it just has fuzz bass, but it's a relatively good and warm sounding fuzz bass. It's not that broken sound. I mean, obviously it does have a clean channel, and you can get it up to this volume where it sounds like a bass, but you can't play it at any real volume. I was just using it for a wee red bass and Black Sabbath anyway, but that worked quite well. But I do quite fancy having an actual proper battery powered bass amp that sounds like a bass, not like a fuzz bass. So interesting. It's a bass micro basically it's too loud to use in the house. You can't. No, I mean you can play it quiet, but it's got a fan in it. You know, you turn it on, it's like you can hear the fan when you're watching TV. It's like it's not designed for that. It's designed to play along with a full band without any PA. And then I ended up getting a wee Stag one from somewhere. I think it was a 30-watt Stag, and it was actually really good. It sounded amazing. In many ways, I've said this before about the wee Blackstar ID cores. It actually sounded better than the big, pure, the most amazing amp in the world, the Marshall 400-watt thing, at a sensible volume. You know, I mean, obviously it couldn't compete if you were recording or something like that, playing along with a drum kit, but just sitting watching TV, just having a relatively pleasant and sounded like a bass sound, it was great. So I ran that for a couple of years, and I thought it was really great. I was like, I'm never getting rid of this is great. And then somebody was selling the 60-watt version for a tenner in town, so I was like, right, sod it. So I went in. I think I sold it. The way I looked at it was basically just I could break even and just double the wattage. And I think the bigger speaker, maybe a 12 inch instead of a 10 inch in it. So I ended up with that, and then that was when I moved to Milton Campsie, the house I've got just now, and it's like the thing that pissed me off about that amp was it worked fine, but then the dials were on top of it, which means that you can't actually, if you've got it on the floor that's fine, but I don't have no room, so I've got it stacked up, so I could never actually see over the top to which knobs it was turning. You couldn't see the light, so I couldn't tell whether it was on. You know, stupid things. The same problem I've got with one of the reasons I'm using the orange amp rather than my wee Laney, which I absolutely love, is because the knobs are on the top, so you can't even see them. Plus dirt lands in them. So I was like, right, okay. And then I saw this Marshall, the one I've got just now, you know, the one I painted after the end on, like 30 quid. I was like, alright, my Marshall bass amp, that'd be smashing, 30 quid. Yeah, I'll go and get that. So I went and got that. I couldn't believe it when I walked into the guy's house and he took me upstairs. And I took it, I was like, that's it! Oh, Jesus, it's basically almost the same size as one of the 4x10s, as one of the cabinets from the big Marshall. I was like, no. I was kind of, I know, it said it had a 15-inch speaker, I know that. It said it was 150 watts, yes. But I was expecting something half the size, maybe 2/3 the size at the most. And it's like, alright, okay, that's cool, so I'll take it anyway, that's fine. And then obviously, it was later on I realised it was exactly the same. It's like a slightly newer and budget version of the big Marshall, so it's got all the knobs in the same order and very similar architecture stuff. Great. So I used one of the amps I played through at that last gig. That Marshall was brilliant, but it's not you know, fling on the passenger seat, take it over to someone's house for a jam amp. It's just not. It's I put wheels and handles on it. You know, it's a gigging amp. None of your pish. So it'd be nice to have a wee amp. Anyway, for even over at jamming with Jen and Scott, it'd be nice to have a proper guitar amp, bass amp. Because the amp we're playing through using there is just a wee Laney guitar amp, which is alright. I mean, the only reason you can actually play the bass to it is because it's got a decent sized speaker in it. You know, there's not really much point in. Obviously, if you're just sitting yourself, something to amplify it, you can use like a 10-watt amp or something like that, a 10-watt guitar amp for the bass. But if you've got it up at any sort of volume, there needs to be some sort of oomph to it. You need bigger speakers, and even then, it's obviously it's not running. I think that the amp's 30 watt, I think more than that, 30 watts. But you can't run it up at full, otherwise you might blow it up. But at least it's got a decent sized speaker in it. So I'm hoping that this one has that. Doesn't need to be loud, but it needs to get, as long as it can get up to, like I said, play along with an acoustic and sound like a bass. Be relatively clean. Sound wise, it looks pretty dusty. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Actually, I was talking earlier on a video I was doing. Earlier on, I wonder how that video went down. I did a video comparing can you hear a grand's difference in a bass? And to be honest, I had a wee quick look at the video and I couldn't have told you. Maybe my ears aren't big enough. But even, I think sitting in the room, I could tell that the Fender sounded much more expensive. Not much more, a bit more expensive. But that's me in a completely controlled environment I'm entirely used to, and all the time, playing through an amp that I entirely know that I play through all the time, and switching between two guitars when I'm playing on my own. And I could, yeah, it wasn't a huge difference, but there was a noticeable difference. In a band being played by somebody else in a mix, there's any difference. Earlier on I was actually talking about the guy, I was talking about a double bass. The guy lived just there. He's moved now lives in the West End, but he did live there. Seth. Aye, we were watching this. Your Antonia Telecaster still hasn't been refretted, but it's awesome. Yeah, so nice to have a battery. And this thing, he says he's got a PSU, but it wasn't in the photo, so I wanted to try it. I hope he gives me the PSU with it. I'll not haggle if it works okay, and got the power supply. Oh, this is there you go. I didn't really notice that. There you go, Rick. All you Americans recognise that. Yeah, that's what's his face? Jack and Victor's house. Yeah, so there's probably lots of still gamey type bits right round about here, because I actually remember trying to find it one time. So there you go. It's one of those ones you drive past it all the time, not really notice where you are. So this is getting bought, and I've also said last time that when I was working as a house removals, I moved a guy from in there, and also I bought a Yamaha DJX2 unit in that very block as well, that very high rise. So we're actually somewhere where I've never been before. I don't think. In saying that, I'll probably recognise it from another. I've probably driven past it, coming from a different angle or something like that. Oh, over the canal. No, I don't recognise this at all. That's a canal that walk along with Kirky. Is that turning right in here? Good. Immediately? Yep, okay, yep. I'm nearly there. This might be quite a nice house actually. It looks like it might be on the back of the canal. Not that I should be surprised, it's a nice house in Glasgow. It's known to happen. Can't remember what the guy's number is. So, hopefully when I come back on, I will be able to play a bit of beta. I doubt all the batteries. I might go to Lidl or something to be back. I don't know how long Lidl batteries will last. But in saying that, it's a relatively modern thing, and that wee Black Star Fly I've had, I don't think I've ever changed the batteries in it. Really, and I've not extensively used it, but I've used it for a good few hours at a time, 20 or 30 times. So I mean, it's like, hopefully, and I think it's running on Lidl batteries. I don't want to end up having to put in. I always remember that being a problem with the camera I started doing videos on. Well, that's actually a roundabout. Into the depths here. Right, I'll see you when I get back. So, rolling base cube. This is still game flats, look. Yeah. So that's it sounds pretty good. It's got the power lead on it. I didn't bother haggling again. I think it's worth more than what I just paid for it. Guy was a wee bit special, I think. Did very nice, but kind of talk funny. I turned right to get it. Yeah, so I thought seemed alright. He had a bass. He's like, I've got a spacer going for it. I mean, if you think I'm hard to understand, you want to hear this guy talked about 1,000,000 miles an hour. Oh, he's into soldering, fixes games consoles and stuff. You're like a wee bit on the spectrum, but other guy. Kind of a bit weird to talk to, so I could have probably haggled, but sorry. It just immediately sounded a bit like sounds like a bass amp. Only had it at gain 2 and volume 2. I did crank it just for 2 seconds just to make sure it worked at volume, and it seems to, so it should be interesting. It runs on 88 batteries. He says he reckons he could maybe get, he's like, how long do the batteries last? He's like, maybe 8 hours, 10 hours. Like, up here, that's not bad. He's like, it doesn't heat them up too much, so that's good. Right, again, I wasn't paying attention when I came here. I'm not sure whether I can I go right here? I didn't come that way. I think I'm going to end up going home the wrong way. I might actually, it's pretty sick to actually have to use the sat-nav to get home, but I might have to do that. I think I've turned a wrong turn somewhere. I'm not recognising this. I mean, that's one of the problems about talking to the camera when I'm going out. I don't remember seeing the Ram's Head. I don't remember these lights. I don't remember that railway station. Yeah, I out a little bit on the... This doesn't. Rannoch Drive. I'm going on a... I think the sat nav might be in sense of humour mode a little bit. It's amazing how you can go from what's, let's be honest, not a very nice area to a very nice area in Glasgow in a minute driving. I've got a feeling, I recognise some of these names. Where am I going to end up? I'm going to turn a corner here, I'm going to go, I'm here! A road I've been on 1,000 times. I've got a funny feeling this looks a wee bit like the shortcut I used to get to... Bears Den. It very well could be. This might bring down the big graveyard just before the garden centre. It's actually quite a nice time to go driving at 8:30 on a Saturday night. There's nobody on the road, which is nice, because all other road users are bastards, as you obviously know. So I might even do the live stream tomorrow night with my wee cube. He said he did. The guy said he did something, and he was like, "How?" I was like, "Alright, I was happy, yeah, like cosplay, right? Yeah, I was happy." So I'm walking about, playing an acoustic bass with that on his back. So I don't know. It doesn't look like the sort of thing that you could quite comfortably carry in your back. It does have like straps on it, but I think you just put a guitar strap on, and then you can have it around your back. But I don't envisage myself doing that very much. Well, there's the campsite, so I'm going in the right direction. I could find my way home here if I didn't have sat nav, by just going towards the hills until I recognise somewhere. I've just got a feeling I've got a right hand turn coming up here, going up Buccleuch Road, which I've just got a feeling I'm going to know. I really want to go to a home bargain for something to buy batteries, try out batteries, but it's 8:30 at night. It's not, nowhere's going to be open. No, it's not. This right turn, I still don't know where I am. But it's good to get lost sometimes. It is. Look. I said I've got a funny feeling this is going to come out at that graveyard just before I get to the garden centre. There's the graveyard. So there you go. This is not the way I came. So there you go. It's one of those things that was like, it was 20 minutes away, and there was 10 different ways of going. As long as you were going roughly in the correct, as long as I was going west, I was going to end up there, and as long as I go east and north, I'm going home. Pretty much. Times it are. So guess what I'm doing tonight? I'm sitting playing the bass. With the bass amp. I'm not going to give up on the wee thingy one, the wee orange one, because it's got that ability to clip onto your belt and just play fuzz bass. But if actually playing along with somebody else, it might be nice to have an actual bass amp. And listening to it in the guy's house, it certainly sounded like a bass amp, like I was saying on the way over. A little bit. It sounds more like a bass amp at very quiet volumes than the big bass amps do at very quiet volumes. So if you're watching TV playing the bass, the big Marshall, I'm running the 150 watt one and a 15-inch speaker for just in the house and gigs, is it's not really on properly at that volume. Same problem, not so much with those amps, because they're solid state or solid state preamps, solid state power amps, so they're not, solid state's not as bad for that, but valves are. You always get that, people who say, I just need to buy a wee valve amp for the house. I'd be, buy one of those wee, is it the Harley Benton or the, I've never played one so I'm not commenting on the quality of them, the Epiphone Valve Junior, or I had a wee PV one, and you think, it's only 5 watts or 1 watt or whatever it is, that'll be great, I'll be able to have that on when I'm watching TV and I'll be able to crank it up a little bit and it won't be too loud. No, I played in the studio with the wee 5 watt Laney 5 watt PV, and when I was in my cranking house, I didn't even have it up full bung, no pedals. The Shocking Bird, which is just one single coil pickup and a volume control going into an amp that had a volume and a tone. No, the PV had a volume, a gain and a tone, and it was have a PA, because I'm sitting there, my bass amp's only 150 watts. It doesn't, mind you, it could be one of those ones that doesn't sound that loud because it's so clean. But that's the problem with the big 400 watt one. You know, you turn it up until it sounds like it's been cranked. No. You turn it up, but it's still clean and still sounds quite quiet. Oh, this isn't going as loud as I thought, and you realise you turn around and there's someone standing there next to you going, turn it off, I can't hear it, it's making my eyes bleed. And they're there and you can't hear them just because it sounds exactly the same at playing quietly along with a drum kit or at playing along with a jet engine. It's just too much power. Speaking of power, I've got an amp to sell as well actually. In fact, I'm selling, we'll cover that. To anyone's after that. A clean pedal platform, I guess you'd call it. It's a Carlsboro, 350 watt, I think. 250 watt guitar head. It's an absolute monster. Not 100% sure it's the most useful amp you'll ever find. You know, when do you really need 250 watts power? Gives you a lot of headroom, I suppose. So the thing with that is, though, even though it's called a new metal, or it's getting new in the titles, I reckon it's probably early 2000s. I reckon you can probably get that up flipping loud with a very clean Strat liver to start. Headroom. Whereas I think something like that wee bass cube's probably got none headroom. Well, it's got one headroom. The wee orange amp has none headroom. It's just like everything. It's like, oh look at a wee 9 volt battery, a tiny speaker. I think it's, see on it somewhere it's 3 watts. I think it's called a something. I'm sure it's called a something 1000 to make it 1 watt. I can't remember. But yeah, so another wee bonus video for you. I put one out yesterday or today. I'll put this out tomorrow as a precursor to my live stream. Just anyway, because I think YouTube likes it when you put lots of videos up. So if I just keep putting up hundreds of videos, fuck it. Basically, if you're interested in any of them, you only have to watch the ones that go out at 7 o'clock at night. Those are the sort of main videos, rather than main. You know, if it's actually just lifestyle, be in the car. Basically, instead of coming out and listening to me talk shit in the car, you can just watch the ones where I'm actually talking about something interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the comments are when I get home about the amps. Most of the folk that comment on me on YouTube know, though. They're in the know. They're not looking at the badge. You're not looking at the badge to decide whether it's good or not. You listen to it. You try it. So I don't think nobody's going to say. I don't think anyone's going to hear it. Well, I think the £30 Jim Deacon sounds better than the £1,000 Fender. But anyone who's listening to it is going to go, well, there's not that much difference. You know, or there's no difference. It's not going to sound better than Jim Deacon, but I'm not sure I can tell the difference listening to it, especially by the time YouTube's, you know, compressed it and all that stuff. And well, I've recorded it, compressed it, and all that. I don't think it's going to stick out particularly differently. If anything, I think which is really surprising for one of Scott's guitars, I think the Jim Deacon was actually louder than it, just a wee bit. That might be just because the pickups were up higher. Whereas Scott normally has the pickups up so high that whenever I play his bass or his guitars, it's like it's just pure because I'm like an ape on the bass. So if you're thumping it, you just keep hitting the strings off the pickups if they're too high. I don't really need that anymore. They don't make it easy to turn off the sat nav. It's off, my goodness. Quite thirsty. Oh, I've got a bottle of Wham. I don't know. Sometimes they just catch you off guard, don't they? I was in Home Bargains last night. I'll buy some juice. Look, there's a bottle of juice in the flavour of old Wham bars. That'll be nice. Of course it's not. It's fucking horrible. I started drinking it last night, gave up, so that's all I've got. I'll just drink that when I go home. basically, a Duracell's 6 times longer than a normal battery, and the rechargeable batteries work with normal batteries. So if you get 8 hours out of it, I don't need more than one set of shitty Lone Bargains or Lidl batteries to run. I take it Lidl closes Lidl closes at tonight. That'll probably get me a few hours. I mean, even I can't really find a situation where I'm going to be playing 8 hours in one sitting. Not going to happen. So, especially at volume, you know what I mean? He said everybody seems like I was running quite heavy using the effects. I'm not sure, to be honest, the effects would use any more power. The volume would. I think, running it at a quiet volume, you'll get an awful lot more life out of it than you will running it at a massive volume. But we've got effects on it as well. It's also got a wee drum kit in it. It's pretty cool. A wee click tracky thing. Which, as you've noticed when I'm doing my bass demos using that Moore drummer pedal. To be honest, I think looking at the one that's in that, I think that's probably kind of really all I needed. I wonder why there's not a cheap version of that. Thinking about it, because that wee Moore drummer pedal, I think I paid 30 quid for it or something like that. I got it on, but they're 80 or 90 quid new, and it's like, I mean, to be honest, the amount I use it would probably be worth it. But for the normal person, buying a, say I've got quite a big loop pedal, but I use it all the time. You do get, you never used to when I started, but you get like a wee, I've actually got one at Civets, an SOS pedal, which is just like one of your wee mini pedals, but it's a loop pedal. I think it was 25 quid or something like that. It's like, yeah, that gives you a loop pedal to see whether you're going to use it much. Rather than go and spending £200 on one of those big massive Boss ones that's got all the overdubbing and stereo and multiple loops and all that crap. Rather than that, just get a wee crappy one, see if you like it. And if you like it, then okay, you've spent 25 quid and you probably get 15 quid back for it, and then you know what you're doing. I did that with basically all my pedals, I think. That's what I bought. I remember buying a Phaser was the first pedal I bought. Just because it was like a tenner. I was like, I wonder what a Phaser does. I mean, I know what it does electrically and I can hear it in records, but you don't. It's not until you've actually got one and you arse about with it for an hour and you go, right, I get it. I keep thinking, see, because I'm playing that the Ibanez RG, the new one, number 42, because of what it is, and whenever I think I might put my chorus pedal back in my board, just maybe the time is right for effects. I don't know. I go through wee spots like this every now and again when I think, hey, maybe effects. I've been using the delay thing a fair bit, just when I'm messing about. I don't want it on all the time. Scott tends to have he's always got lots of effects on, so there's movement and it's not a dry signal and all that. I don't really like that, but I like having it there for a wee bit. I'll do a wee bit stomp on that for 4 bars of a solo or something. Yeah, I can kind of get that a little bit. I have actually just left the reverb on. It's amazing how you get used to either having reverb or not having reverb. Every time I turn it off, it's like, that sounds amazing, but I'm aware that other people don't like it. I still like a dry sound. I don't know, something about it. I suppose it's like, if you're having a pure amazing steak, do you really want to pure cover it in chilli sauce and mustard and all that? Really? It's like, well, if you've got a shit burger, a Ming burger, then yeah, you want to get rid of it. You don't really want to taste the burger very much, so get fucking onions and brown sauce and all that stuff on it. Whereas if it's a steak, I quite like steak. I remember getting that guy I work with, I can't remember his name now. Like, bacon rolls, brown sauce, and I was like, no, not a bacon roll, man. Well, what? Oh, you got to taste the bacon. So kind of, I get it. It's the same. That's my same idea. But I'm playing an unbelievably good, fantastic Japanese guitar through a 30-watt orange. You want brown sauce on it? No, I just want it on. It's fine. What a rant. Right, we see tonight live stream. Hopefully I will not be really pissed off because this amp blew up.